Namaste. On behalf of Namaste. On behalf of the Hindu Temple Society of North America, we would like to warmly welcome all of you to the 49th session of the Hinduism Learning Series, hosted by Akshnim, the young professionals team of the Hindu Temple Society of North America. This is our 49th session of doing this, and we are happy to host these conferences and to host these educational sessions so we can all learn together. Today is going to be the continuation of last month's topic, which is the preparation of rituals. Today's topic was extensively discussed in the last session, and we will continue to discuss it today as a part 2. So today we will continue that talk, and without further ado, we have the great pleasure to warmly welcome the Director of Religious Services of the Hindu Temple Society of North America, Sri Ravi Vaidyanaat Sivachariar, to be our guest speaker. Welcome, Sri Sivachariar.
Namaste.
Thank you for coming on. Namaste. Can you please start us off, like we always do, with an invocatory prayer?
Okay, thank you. Om Sadha Shiva Samarambham Sri Kantacharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vandhe Guru Paramparam Vagharta Vivasam Praktau Vagharta Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitarau Vandhe Parvati Parameshwarau Vishwakarana-netradhyam Srimat-Tripura-Sundharim Bandhakasura-Samhatrim Kamakshim Tam Aham Bhaje Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you. So today's topic was extensively discussed last time in the last session, and we want to complete the session as viewers were very keen on seeking more details. And we hope to gain added knowledge to the questions. I want to begin by asking you, in the last session, you said that a ritual could take many forms from a simple to an elaborate, and they don't have to be very show-offy. We should set intentions that should be adaptable and followed regularly. What is the first step that we can take if there are any new traditions that we're inclined to observe in a ritual?
Yeah. Thank you, Shira. See, first of all, one should know that observation or performance of any ritual would constitute doing a worship or paying and respect or offering a prayers or involved in ceremonies and then following the procedures and adhering to the all customs and traditions pertaining to their family. And worship has been generally described in many ways in Sanskrit. It could be like archana or aradhana or bhakti or doing dhyana or doing a parayana or performing a puja or concentrating or meditating on mantras like japa or homa, like fire worship, or doing upasanas or upachara, vandana, vrata, like that. We can keep going on saying the worship. For us, for Hinduism, worship constitutes so many. It's not just limited only with prayer and all. So all this have been generally by people generalize it, the whole worship as a puja. Of course, I already explained in several of our sessions that what really we mean by puja. Puja is an abbreviated word. So it has two sounds in it. One is pu, next is ja. So the Agama has explained about this expansion of this abbreviated word puja, like puryante sarva karmani jayate jnanamatmani purnat jayate yasmat puja sapta ihochyate, it says. That means you have to divide it in two parts. One is puryante sarva karmani. That means puja means it's a system of worship that signifies the fulfillment of the prescribed rituals. And what do we gain by fulfilling the prescribed rituals, by performing it? Basically, to obtain the knowledge of the divine, to get the divine knowledge. So that is why Puryante Sarvakarmani. The first letter of Puryante is Pu. Then Jayate Jnanamatmani, the first letter is Ja. So that is why it is taken as Puja. So as such, Puja is not a single word, it's a combination, abbreviation. And there is also another way of looking at this same phrase as Puryante Sarvakarmani means it is the karma or the deeds that will mature at the same time with the divine knowledge will emerge from us. So Puryante Sarva Karmani, all karmas matures from us. Whatever, whether we have good karma and bad karma, it matures. And Jayate Jnanamatmani. Finally, we attain knowledge, and our knowledge emerge out of us. So basically, puja is a ritualistic act. That much it's enough at this point of time for us to know. And since your question was anyone who wished to follow or who wish to participate in any ritual, what is that they should do at the beginning? So what I will say is, first, let us start assisting or doing a seva in during any ritual. So by doing that, by assisting the people or by doing a seva or a service or volunteering, by that, no, we will be viewing it, we will be observing it. Then approach a guru, get properly initiated from a guru, and follow the path which we decide to choose.
Okay.
So the simple follow up of what guru says, that is enough at the beginning or for beginners. So then we can proceed further, graduate in it. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that elaboration. A common question that we always get are there any gender requirements to perform these rituals and these prayer rituals?
Okay.
So if you can elaborate on that.
Okay. See, there are no such gender requirement prescribed in any of our text. But what happens is, our text emphasize on every living entity is considered equal. All living entities. Not only I'm talking about human being. Even you take animals or birds or plants and trees. Every living entities are considered equal in terms of, we call them, or we have phrased it like a jivatma or antaratma. So everyone is, all living entities is termed as antaratma or jivatma. And what is the goal for this atma or antaratma or jivatma is the moksha or liberation. So that is the ultimate goal. So there is no other mention beyond this. But what happens is, when you try to implement it, so there are certain requirements which were set by the prevailing local guidance or practices, the local practices, or they have certain principles, or they things may be, like considering the convenience of all the people around, or considering the need of everyone or the community at that point of time. So those are all the deciding factors whether they will specify whether it is gender or whatever it is, or even materials or objects or the time. Everything is derived based on this. Otherwise, there is no gender requirements specified in this, and everyone is entitled to carry out Atmartha Puja.
Okay.
There is no denial at all. Everyone is entitled to do the Atmartha Puja by themselves. Okay, so maybe when we talk about Parartha Puja, I'll come and explain more about it.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And something else that we all like to talk about and we try to understand is how and when exactly do we want to do these ritualistic practices start for anyone? Does it involve like a change over time? So that's one question that we would
Okay.
like to
Okay.
know.
So you want to know when we start or how do we begin with the practice? Okay.
Mhm.
Before deciding to begin with this, we should first decide as to why should we perform the ritual at all.
Okay.
So that will be the first criteria before how do I proceed further. So I will first talk about why at all we should perform a ritual. Okay. So that will lead to this answer to this question also. See, what happens is the rituals, any rituals that we are involved into, it will lead to appealing terms. Any ritual you involve, do it with the consciousness. So it will lead us to an appealing terms that would motivate the idea of striving to achieve such a state, whatever we decide, the such a state, one to make progress further. So the ritual should be in that way, number one. And then this is basically to build one's own life around something towards no pursuit of pleasure or to lead a happy life, whatever the goal that we set. So all the rituals are, focusing towards that only. And to practice these religious rituals are known as anushtana. Anushtana means it is a manner of religious practice with continuous performance of duties. And to practice it daily, because one is anushtanam. Anushtanam can be done at any time, but there is also something known as if I do it like last session I told about habitual and ritual, the difference. So if you want to make it a habitual, then it becomes a daily practice. So if you do the anushtanam as a daily practice or ritual as a daily practice, then it becomes a nitya anushtana. So we used to call it a nitya karma anushtana, they used to say. So this will be referred as a nitya anushtana. And of course, to how do we start? We have to first seek the help of a guru and start practicing from now onwards so that we can make a good progress in every endeavor. I'll give some example of how do we start practicing in our daily or nitya anushtana karma or nitya anushtana vidhi, whatever you call it as. Say every day, even by doing simple pranayama. Pranayama means everybody knows it is a breathing routine or breathing exercise. And if it is done properly on a daily basis, and it will lead us to I will put it like ahamarshana. It says ahamarshana means the pranayamam is basically done for self inner cleansing. Okay, so this will lead us to inner cleansing. Similarly, like initially I told the previous question, like doing japam or doing asanas, various asanas, or even performing various mudras every day, like hand gestures or body gesture, all those, and then different body positions, mudras, and then complete bhuta shuddhi. One is ahamarshana, means self cleansing. Second one is bhuta shuddhi, means complete body cleansing. All these things, if you do, and plus also chanting of some sacred verses in daily puja. So that is what we have to start looking at, and then the ritualistic the practices automatically starts for everyone. Now you also want to know
Yes.
whether it involves change over time.
Yes. Does it involve
Whatever is, yeah, what we start in the beginning today, or suppose if I say from now onward I start a ritual, this is called as a nitya, but on over a period of time there's a change. And this is already inbuilt into our system, what we call, like from conception of a life in the mother's womb up to the final cremation of the life. So from the birth to death, or not even from the birth, even before birth there is a conceiving, consumption. So from that time till the funeral ceremony, there are a lot of rituals which take part for every human being born in this world. So why this is being done? And since eternity, the man has strived to improve his own self, and which we call it as a self-realization. So when this realization, very unique only to mankind. That's why I said human people. When I told about living entity, it is for all. Whereas here I'm talking about, uh, you know, it's very unique to only human beings, and which has led us to think deep about our physical, mental, and basically it's for spiritual well-being. And it is believed that every aspect of our life is very sacred. Every aspect of our life over every period of time. And that is why at each stage of our lifetime, which is very significant, and as I said, from the consumption to cremation, it is celebrated as a reminder that our life is a gift from the God, and which should be duly respected, and we live according to our own wishes. Okay, even though we have a lot of influencing factors around us, but we, whatever the way that we wish, we live our life in that way. So our Vedic seers or Vedic sages and saints have prescribed a set of observances known as samskaras. Here only the changes I'm going to tell. So what is samskara? Then I can find the nearest English word for samskara is a sacrament. Okay. So rituals are done to mark a significant transition of life in our various time period over a time of our life. And basically it is to secure our own inner well-being, or to the inner world, and then to seek the divine blessings. So although our text talks about, so it talks, I think at least 40 plus samskaras are being described in our sacred text. But among them, there is a consensus by various scholars that we should adopt at least 16 samskaras. So it is called a Sodasha Samskara. At every point of our lifetime, the Sodasa Samskara is applied in the respective period of time, starting from the Garbhadana, which is nothing but a conception. Then it goes to the Pumsavana ceremony, which is on confirmation of the consumption that a woman is carrying. And then there is another sacramental ritual, which is called a Simando Nayana, and which is nothing but it is people commonly call it as baby shower. Okay, so that is or it is one, this is one thing which you said, no, is there any gender requirement?
Yes.
Here you will see there is a gender, because who can carry a child? It's only women. So here it is only women specific, there is no men specific. Okay. So similarly, then comes Jata Karma, then Nama Karma, then Nishkrama, Annaprasana, the first feeding, Chuta Karma, and then Karna Veda, like that it keeps going. Then there is another thing called as Keshan, which is again for men it is Keshan, and for the women it is called as, once a girl achieves the puberty level or reaches the adolescent stage, there is a ritual,
Yes.
which is again a gender requirement here, which is not, see, there are specific these kind of samskaras are done based on the gender. Otherwise, in general, the pujas or rituals, there is no gender differences. What is specific to male, what is specific to female, only at that point of time, that samskaras, that rituals only varies. Okay. So like that, it keeps on going up to the vivaha, wedding ceremony. Then like that, vanaprastha, sannyasa, antyeshti. Antyeshti is the last. Anti means last. Ishti means diksha. The last diksha is called as antyeshti, which is the last rite which is performed for a person. So from the conceiving level to the passing of the life level, there are 16 samskaras, even though there are 40 plus. So that means at every stage of life, there is a ritual. Okay. So it's all compulsory for all the human beings.
Right.
With some exceptions. Certain things applicable to men, certain things applicable to women, like that. Okay. Otherwise, no other thing. These are all common for all of us. So this is how the ritualistic practice starts from begin to end of our life in
Yeah,
this particular life cycle.
that was so beautifully said, Sri Sivachariar. For our next question, we wanted to ask, why do the rituals vary so dramatically between, east, west, and north and south of India, and not only India, but even between other communities?
Okay, okay. It's a very good question.
Yes.
See, our core Vedic text doesn't change. It remains same. Whether it is Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, they are all fixed. That is the source. But what happened is from there, from this Vedic text, it is being extracted. Informations and data and compilation have been done, which is called as like Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita, like that, which is popularly called as Ratanatrayam or Prasthanatrayam. Trayam means three. What is those three? Brahma Sutra, Upanishad, and Gita. These three are called as Ratanatrayam, and some people call it as Prasthanatrayam. Why Prasthanatrayam? Prashna means commentaries. There are a lot of commentaries written by various philosophers, sages, and saints and gurus. So each one view it in their own eyes, and they have written some commentaries. And because of their reviewing through different commentaries by various rishis, obviously they have revealed their outcomes, their experiences
Mm.
through different philosophies. Maybe it like Dvaita philosophy or Advaita philosophy or Visishtadvaita philosophy, like that, from the same core text. And then further, if you find it is again deviated along different paths. And obviously, the followers of these paths would adapt their respective guru, which leads to variations in the rituals. This is the first beginning of, you asked, why there is a dramatic variation. It's the core is same, the objective is same, whereas the path is different. The philosophy is differs, whether Dvaita or Advaita, and we will not go in depth about all these things, but this is the first level of variations, which is revealed by our own sages and saints. And apart from that, there are also other things. In spite of the same core belief system and same source code, we have different customs, different traditions, because of different belief system within our faith. So that is another reason leading to differences between rituals.
Right.
And then I should also talk about the rishis or spiritual heads and our teachers and gurus who have paved different ways, paths, and paddhatis also. They have also given different paddhatis for different group of people, even living in the same land, or same, whether you ask about south, west, north, east, no. So the rishis have customized this philosophy which suits that particular location or
Mm.
that particular group of people, and then they have created paddhatis. That's why we called it, when we call it as a path, it is in by, they have released paddhatis, different paths, and they have released different doctrines also, and different dharma or code of conduct for different group of people. And
Mm.
all this are guided by our respective rishis, and then our gurus, and along with our family tradition and customs. So this much matrix permutation and combinations are there, which obviously results in variations and differentiations among us. And there is also other points which you should which leading to
Mm.
variations or in usage of the materials in our rituals, especially like homegrown flowers or homegrown fruits or homegrown vegetables, homegrown ingredients, because it varies, no. we don't get the same ingredients all over the locations, is it not? Whether north, south, east, west.
Right.
And the food habits and the location that we are living in, the weather condition, and the local meantime. This is another very important factor. Because the sun doesn't rise across the globe at the same time. The moon doesn't rise across the globe at the same time. Similarly, setting. So it varies. Now we are in different time zones and another level, different times. That means they perform the ritual at different time zones. So like this, there are, but the core objective, the ultimatum is same. All of us are striving towards moksha, as I told you in the earlier questions.
Yes.
So, and similarly, there are other things like in today's world, like our dress code keep changing. You find even the priest wearing different dress codes. Like that, I can keep on telling about it. Of course, we are very familiar with different languages, which also make us think differently. Okay, so that way, they're obvious. It is very obvious that we have differences, difference in rituals and difference in following, but all our goals leads to the same ultimatum. Okay, there is nothing wrong in having differences. It's also good, nothing wrong in that, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sivachariar. That was very enlightening. And going on to change and our next question, how are the virtual poojas different in terms of benefit created and prerequisites required compared to in one-person pujas, now that we're living in this virtual world with this pandemic and so many things happening?
Yeah. This is very important questions, and so many people are asking. Of course, the world is changing. The technological obsolescence are keep happening, and today we are talking about virtual world, and after few days or few months, the future, there may be something else also. So let us see how our faith have accommodated everything. Okay. Let us relook at what I explained in the last session about Sakali Karna. Sakali Karna means which is a nyasa. It's part of Bhuta Shuddhi, doing the cleansing of Anganyasa and Karanyasa, all those cleansing, which is a prerequisite for commencement of any puja. And I want to start from this so that we can understand how our sacred texts touch upon the virtual concept, first of all. Okay. So the nyasa, what is nyasa basically? This is a cleansing process. Okay. How do we cleanse? Using mantras, using bijas and things like that. So this is basically to clean all our physical body through a process which is nyasa. That signifies, what does it signify? A placement or assignment or mental appropriation, which is nothing but virtual. I'm placing something in my body, applying some sound in my body, or assigning or mentally apportioning certain things. What? Like placement of energies, or like bija mantras or bijas or attribute of devatas. All those things are placed virtually in our body in various places, which is nothing but a virtual concept. So so our ancient text has already dealt with the virtual placement of energies, virtual placement of mantras. So hence I will say the term virtual is not something new concept for our Vedic Hinduism. It is something which is already prevailing, but we should know how to handle it, how to apply it. If that is known to us, we can handle anything. Not only this virtual world, even future world, we can handle it properly. So you are talking about the virtual hosting, virtual meetings, virtual congregation, and all those things. Now it has become a virtual prayers. It's become very inevitable in current world. It might definitely work out very well for our Atmartha Puja. All our Atmartha Puja, you can definitely use virtual. There is nothing wrong.
Okay.
But coming to the Parartha Puja, there only we may miss out the absorption of energy. Why I'm talking about this? Before I'm jumping into further, I will give one or two common examples. For example, if I go to physically, I go to a beach, in sitting in front of the ocean. You can't do this virtually. I sit in front of a beach and enjoy the breeze. Can we do this virtually? It is impossible. Similarly, I want to go to a forest, I want to go to a park and enjoy the nature. I want to go to on the top of a mountain and enjoy the nature. These kind of things is impossible by virtual methods. Is it not? How can I observe the natures by physically sitting in front of a beach and observing the breeze and this noise, and sitting in front in middle of a forest, enjoying the sound of a leaf? See, all these things can be simulated in a computer, but the simulation is only a simulation. It is not a reality. This may give to certain mental satisfaction, but nothing like going sitting in the park. Is it not? In the same way, we will be losing the cosmic energy if you cannot go into a temple and absorb that energy, absorb the chanting, and then absorb the sound that bell rings, the harati which is shown, and the smell and fragrance, and the sound energy, the atmosphere, the physical interaction with the priest who are blessing you. All those things will be missing in the virtual world.
Yes.
We can still stimulate, but stimulation can't last longer. Maybe we can look like a viewing a motion picture. It may give only to certain extent. So of course we can still innovate some new ideas so that it blend with today's kind of virtual prayers or virtual congregation, uh, and things like that. Okay, so without, if you don't consider this sound energy and the blessings and the such atmosphere, like without going to beach, how can I enjoy? Without going to forest, how can I enjoy the breeze? So in the same way, without going to the temple, not to the full satisfactory level, but of course we can only view. Same thing I also told in the previous thing. That is a time also is placing an important point, because we are into different time zone. And suppose if I want to participate in a Pradosha Puja, which is occurring only at a particular time just before sunset, which may not be same in another part of the world. Now, for me, that is the time, because I'm in this location. So I can go and enjoy the atmosphere and feel the blessings. But at the same time, in another location, it is different. So there, the virtual may not work out. But the person sitting in that other location, he has to follow the local time and observe the Pradosha Vrata just before sunset at his place, so he can enjoy. So here the virtual may not play an important, a beneficial thing, but to certain extent it benefits. Certain extent, we have to still find some new methods.
Right. So
Thank
that's, I think, that's why everybody should come to temple, because of the energies and the absorbing all the energies.
Yeah. Not only to temple, they should also go to the beach, enjoy. Go to the park, enjoy. Come to the temple, get the cosmic energy and blessings.
Absolutely. Yes. Going on to our next question. Are there any specific foods exactly that we should avoid before performing any of these pujas and rituals?
Okay. I think this is also another good this points for discussion. See, we dealt this point especially when we are talking about the vratas and fasting and things like that. So I would like to reiterate the same point here also. So of course, along in this topic, concerned to this topic, in fact, last session I told about the different shuddhikara. before involving into a ritual. I have to prepare myself before starting any rituals, before starting any puja. Also, see, there is in Kamik Agama and all the Agamas talks about Atma Shuddhi. I was talking about the Bhuta Shuddhi, cleansing, Nyasa, and placement of bijas, so that we cleanse ourselves both physically and mentally, and then involve into prayers or worship. So when we are doing that, what to do with, already there is a food substance in our body, in our stomach. In fact, in our vrata also, or fasting, for us, I said, fasting means, for our understanding, for the Hindu Vedic understanding, it's not a empty stomach. We never talk about empty stomach. Always our Vedic suggestion is our stomach should be 1/4 only should be filled. It should not be more than quarter filled before we involve into religious rituals. Even when you are in a fasting, don't keep the stomach empty. Keep it at least 1/3 should be filled, whether by liquid or solid, whatever it is. So even though we talk about the Mala Jala Visarjanam in our last session, which is part of cleansing, this Visarjanam is still retain 1/3 in your stomach, because for survival, our stomach has to be filled with at least 1/3. Even the science and medicine talk about in the same way. So that is number one. So our stomach cannot be empty. So obviously it has to be 1/3 or 1/4. And still, since you wanted what are the specific food that we should avoid, also what we should consume is one thing. So we should, when I say 1/3 or 1/4 fill, it should be filled with only dharmic food, not adharmic food. So dharmic food is preferred. And since the food nourishes the entire physical, mental, and emotional aspect, we suggest vegetarianism. That is one of the reasons we talk about vegetarianism and dharmic food that has to be advocated. And obviously, the negative should be that please avoid animal products. Of course, there are opinions about cow milk. Cow milk is exempted in some cases. Some cases it is not exempted, so no problem. So like this, there are if you simply follow this, I think it is good for us in performing any rituals and pujas. Thank you.
Yes. No, I think that's very enlightening to think about, because our physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
So going on to the next question.
Okay.
We always think about, are there any restrictions into entering a temple and carrying out these pujas, especially if there's something shocking like a death in the family that happens? How do we understand that?
Okay. So since we are talking about the requisite for puja, whether this also becomes a requisite, or it is like we talked about what food to be avoided. Similarly, if something happens in a family, it's a bad news in a family, is it not? Losing a life, losing a member of the family member, or not only family member, even say I lost somebody who is a friend of mine, or some neighbor, whoever it is. So in the whole location where you live, because you have been seeing them or friend with you, or he may be a neighbor or a schoolmate, or colleagues, like that. So let us first talk about the family members. If there is a death, definitely there are certain things which we need to look at. Okay, the first thing is something called as a mourning period. During that mourning period, one shall not enter. I'm repeating, one shall not enter a temple, especially agamic temple. And again, when I say agamic temple, definitely one should not enter into the prayer hall, or prakaras, or mulasthana, or garbhagraha, or brahmasthana, and that whole premises. we should not enter, because this is being energy center. So we become impure when there is a mooring time. There is something comes into us called as impurity. So, however, there are designated places where you have to definitely go, because one need to perform some rituals related to ancestral rites, related to funeral rites, and like that. No, there are some mooring ceremonies, or such viewing ceremonies. So those places have to be attended,
Yes.
but not ritual related to devatas. Ritual related to poojas, Atmartha puja or Nitya puja or festival, like that.
Okay.
Let me explain it further. So depend on the family custom. Of course, there are differences, because in the initially talked about some differences. Here also I would like to bring that point. There are some differences among family customs. Some people will do the mooring for 10 days, some for 13 days, some for 16 days. So, like that, it goes up to 30 days. From 10 days to 30 days, or the mooring period, depends on the family custom, each family or each community, from the day of death of the family member, whether in the same location or the death happens in outside also. Suppose I am alone here. If something happens in other location, still in the whole world, wherever if there is a family member death happens, you have to observe the mooring period. That is number one. And then who are all it covers? The mooring period is the nearest family circle. So who are not permitted to perform the pujas or any religious rituals. And not only that, they are not also supposed to participate in weddings or such other rituals, which are termed as shubhakaryas. Shubhakarya means all good things are happening. So we are not supposed to go and participate in such shubhakaryas. Okay. And then you also the question leads to, then when will I become pure from the impure level?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is believed that the ancestor rituals or funeral related rituals, which are known as asaucham or sutak samskaras, is one of the antyeshti samskaras, would lead to the departed soul. The rituals will lead the departure soul to reach the other world, because the soul departed from the body has to reach another location. So till such time, we have to keep performing certain rituals, which are called as funeral related rituals. And it is also believed that if the deceased departed, that soul which departed, it takes some time to reach the other world. And that means till such time it reaches the other world, the relationship of that soul to this world continues, which is the mooring period. And once all the rituals are completed, it is said that the soul reaches the other world, which we term it as a Swargaloka, Narakaloka, or ancestor world, whatever, as per the individual's belief system. Once it reaches, like between 10 to 30 days time, after all the rituals are over, then they are free from the impurity period. The mooring period is nothing but impurity period. Till such time they are in that period, they are not supposed to enter into the main shrine of the temple. And now once all these things are over, they can continue their routine work, and then including participating in all shubhakaryas and pujas, like that. Okay, so that is the restriction, and it is only a practice which were revealed to us for each um, group, whoever follows whichever path. Okay, that much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, we've touched upon so much and a lot to process. And we do have some audience questions, so we'll wait if anyone wants to ask any questions. And there are some audience questions that I'm looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them does the last rites and followings related to rituals, can they be performed by anyone in the family?
Okay. When I talked about who have to observe the mourning period, no?
Mm-hmm.
So the closest family member of the deceased,
Mm-hmm.
the whoever is closest related, like for example, yeah, spouse is the closest related, or yeah, next closer related is the between mother and child, father and child. Okay, like that. So the first circle of that, then the second circle is all the sons, all the daughters, like that. So like that, the circle keeps going up. So the closest circle people are entitled to perform the ritual. Suppose if there is no closest circle, then the next circle people will become the responsibility goes to them for to perform the rituals. Like that, it goes from one to circle, the innermost circle to keep next to outermost circle of the family member related, or we call it as a no bandhu or the related blood related and things like that.
Okay. Okay. We also have another question.
Mm.
While Rata observed, why exactly is the individual observing the fast? And I think you touched upon a few of this, but
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, see, the vrata is basically observed, you said, no, by family members. Okay. See, there are certain things which is common to all the people. There are certain things which are family specific.
Mhm.
For example, I take a vow because I'm going to, persuade my studies on a particular, line of proficiency to get to obtain proficiency. So I take a vow that I would like to observe a vrata for next, say, 12 weeks. So these are all set by my own, uh, based on my capability, based on my, so which is personal. So there is something called as personal vow based vrata. Second is for the welfare of the family. The family head takes a vow. So that becomes a family. There are some common among all. For example, today, say if a day which is called as a full moon day, all the new moon day,
Mhm.
or like that, there are certain things, or on a festival day. For example, on a Varalakshmi Vratam day. So what happens is the whole congregation, the whole community jointly pray for the welfare of the people. So there are based on the cause, based on the family needs, based on individual needs. So it can be segregated. So it depends on uh, what is the purpose and need of this vrata. Accordingly, we can easily decide.
I see. I see. Yeah, no, that was
Thank
very good,
you.
well said. And yeah, no, we covered a lot. I will see if there's any other questions coming in. As this is rituals part 2, and it was very essential that we had this. Um,
Yes.
there's no further questions
Okay.
now. So I want to thank you, Sri Ravi Vaidanta Sivachariar, to be our guest speaker and to
Thank
help us understand these rituals so much more.
you.
And
Yes.
there's so much to talk about and so much to process. I think we can have session upon session, but of course there are time constraints.
Yes.
And I thank the audience for coming and listening, the devotees. Thank you for coming on to you and for all your insight into the rituals. And yeah, we can end the session. Before ending the session, there are a few announcements. Tomorrow will be the last day of the Venkateshwara Mahotsava. So if people will join, that would be great. And we will also be having International Yoga Day celebrations by virtual means on Sunday, June 26th at 1 p.m. And we will also be having next the fifth consecration of the Kumbhabhishekam of the temple, starting from August 31st to September 7th. So for any further details, you can always go to our website, thenewyorkganeshtemple.org, and you will find all our events there. Thank you so much once again, Sivachariar Ravi, Vedanta Shiva, to be our guest speaker. And we'll be having our next session, our 50th session, next month. Thank you, and namaste.
Thank you.